placed under arrest and charged with disorderly conduct.
We are an independent podcast that focuses on the worst of military crimes and the victims and the voices left behind in their wake.
Views by the hosts and guests are our own and do not reflect those of our sponsors or employers.
We do our best with accuracy, but please rely on this information at your own risk.
Episode may contain sensitive subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
When Justice Goes AWOL is not affiliated with the military in any way.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going today? My name's Nicole Charcoti, and welcome to another episode of When Justice Goes AWOL. Last week, the case we took a look at involved David Tippins, a soldier from JBLM who was caught watching CP on loop when he was apprehended. The network investigative techniques that they used to apprehend all these people as part of the Playpen case, a lot of that evidence was thrown out because it was questionably obtained. This week, we're looking at a little bit of a case that hits a lot of people harder because the victims in this case, again, are children, but what happened to them was final, and the one who found that out the most was their mother, who was let down by not one, but multiple systems in this case, where her children were picked up by their father for just what was supposed to be a regular visitation, and they never came home. Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about what Whitney Decker went through when she lost her daughters, Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn. Travis Decker is involved in this case, but I will mention him as little as possible simply because out of respect to the victims and how they met their end. It's Friday, May 30th, 2025, and the girls are getting ready to go with their father for visitation. He and Whitney talk for a little while outside their home, and he says he will have the girls back later. Well, later comes, and she's waiting, and the girls never show up. She did what any nervous mother would do, what any worried mother would do. She called the police. And Wenatchee police were actually very receptive to her concerns. Now, I didn't know this, but apparently there are certain requirements that have to be met before an Amber Alert can be issued for a suspected missing child. Coupled with that and the fact that he was not answering his phone was cause enough for alarm for anybody, and I know that feeling because I have called someone with the hope of reaching them and never reaching them again. Criteria for Amber Alert is not met, so it is not given out. However, an Endangered Missing Persons Alert is given out, and that is basically the TMU version of an Amber Alert. It doesn't get sent directly to phones. You don't have to directly address it on your phone or send it away for the notification. You have to look at it. So the criteria for an Amber Alert is made through the Department of Justice. They set the guidelines. However, Washington State Patrol is the only one with authority to issue them. Kind of interesting how that works. Chris Loftus, the Director of Public Affairs for the Washington State Patrol, went so far as to say that that alert accomplished just as much as an Amber Alert would have. It just didn't hit everybody's phones and alert everyone. So then we have to take a look at the kind of struggles that this person was going through before he unalived these three little girls. Like earlier mentioned, he was having some mental health issues. He had attempted to contact the VA to receive services from them for anger management and mental health issues because it was a part of his parenting plan. He refused to sign it when the VA kept turning him away because there was nothing available. He had some problems that the mother, who knew this man better than anybody else, arguably, because she knows him that way, he cannot parent these children safely. And the sad part is, I think he knew that. But the agony that Whitney had to be going through when her children did not come home is astronomically more than the amount that I went through when I was probably at home wondering where Nick was when he didn't return from his shift as a cab driver. Now, I heard about this case because I was on alert and paying attention to more local media, especially in my community, around what was happening. But this was on Facebook first. I found it on Facebook first, and I thought, oh my God, they have to find those girls. They have to find those girls for that mom. My heart broke for her because The next part that she went through is something that I wouldn't wish on anybody, and that is loss. She got to feel what it was like to have her heart crumble inside of her. 3 times. So, June 2nd, 2025 comes around just this year, and they find Travis's truck. It's a white truck, and they found it down a road over by Leavenworth in Washington. They found Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, but they were not alive. At some point, Travis had taken plastic bags and zip ties and suffocated all 3 of the girls and left them down an embankment, where they were later discovered by law enforcement. There was a beautiful memorial for the girls in Wenatchee, and I got to watch it on Zoom, and I was dressed in my green dress because their favorite colors were green, pink, and purple. I got to hear Whitney say something very important that I think we should all take to heart. She was so composed and so strong. Just, I don't know how she did it, but she talked about the 3 feelings and how she and her girls, because she was going through a divorce, would talk about 3 things that they all felt that day and what was happening when you felt them. And that is so important, just with ourselves, even if you don't have kids. Family attorney Cozart for Whitney Decker keeps stating that the issuance of an Amber Alert might have changed the outcome of this situation because it has such a far reach. So there is a petition in place, and I will include link in my description, but Whitney's Law. And I signed the petition myself yesterday, but Whitney's Law basically boils down to this. Whitney's Law broadens the application for Amber Alerts to include all at-risk youth children, regardless of whether or not it is a parental abduction. I know what it's like to have concerns about a situation that people say they have under control, and the worst outcome happens anyway. It's disappointing. You feel let down. You feel like nobody cares. If no reform is taking place, then we obviously haven't learned anything, right? Just the world keeps going. The world keeps going on even though your world has crumbled underneath you. And it starts making you feel like nobody cares. But thank God Whitney has this outpouring of support from her community and people who do want to help her change the laws to include these for Amber Alerts. And it's not just the Amber Alerts system that needs fixing, apparently. It's not just that. Travis, who his remains were found this year, not too long ago, actually, and it is confirmed that he is dead. And I will leave it at that. But the military's response was just a little bit lackluster than it should have been, in my opinion. He kept trying to get mental health services. He kept trying to go to the VA, and they kept turning him away. They had nothing for him. This is just a prime example of not taking care of our veterans. But the point is, we don't want to take these crimes in hindsight. We want them to be red flags so we can deal with them promptly and as soon as they come up. No more crimes in hindsight. Well, in hindsight, they did have a lot to lose. No. Let's actually use powers of deduction. Let's actually look at a situation and you have a soldier. He's experiencing homelessness or mental health issues. It's happening now. Where can he go? Oh, the VA. When can he get the services? Oh, you have none because of the shutdown. Why? The end question is always why. Anyone can speculate on why those little girls were unalived and why Travis did what he did, but we can look at the concrete facts too. Why did this happen? Because of system failures. And the military is still involved because he couldn't get veteran services in the first place. And those little girls ended up suffering the most for it. Whitney Decker has to live with knowing that this happened, that this is a part of her history. And she's got to find a new way to live with herself. And I know how hard that is, but I don't know how hard it's going to be for her. But all I can say is that I wish her nothing but love and kindness and compassion during this time. And I will keep fighting for cases like hers and mine and everyone else's that I've come to know and learn about, because they matter. Her children coming home to her mattered more than anything. Her children's safety. She still loves them just like I still love Nick. They're always there. They're just not here. So next week, it's kind of a little bit of a different switch up. We're going to be doing a discussion. We're going to have a deeper dive into services that could be offered through the VA and services that frankly should be offered through the VA, but also why are these benefits not being given to people who have served our country? Why is it so hard for them to obtain benefits? And what kind of domains of life are they suffering in the most? It could be healthcare, it could be housing, it could be anything. Find something you're passionate about in this. Something that hurts other people or something wrong that you just notice in the world and you want to fix it. Learn about it. Become passionate about something that you can keep following, that you can keep going with. I love sitting here talking to all of you. I wish I didn't have to. Something's telling me that I have to do this, so I'm going to keep doing it. We can all learn a few things together here. But right now, I think it's really important that we prioritize the people. People make up our country. People are our friends, our families. Society doesn't work without people. Can't have an army without people. The civilians are the ones with the real power. A lot of us just haven't figured it out yet. But you will. Tune in next week where we explore resources for veterans and what is lacking and sorely lacking in that department, especially when it comes to the VA. I'm Nicole Charcoti. My birthday was yesterday, and if I could have one wish, it would be for you to please sign that petition for Whitney Decker. She deserves the most justice she can get out of this, and I think a major victory would be reforming the law for Amber Alerts for at-risk children. I'll see you all next week. Take care.